Okay. Kalispera. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for coming to our first Agora talk, specifically for the weekend of the Agora series. We start with this wonderful panel of professionals. We're going to talk about storytelling and the narrative bridge between film and series. We have the whole tribute on storytelling in this year's festival. And we're happy to have with us Lefteris Charitos, director showrunner from Greece. Nima Javidi, writer and director from Iran. Berkun Oya, writer-director from Turkey. And you will talk about more about what you do and how you do it. And moderating is Müge Ozen, producer from Turkey. This talk is in collaboration with our partners, Sofia Meetings, and together with Sofia Meetings, we have partnerships with EAVE, ACE Producers, MFI, and this specific talk is presented by MIDPOINT Institute. And we have here with us Alexandra Gabrižová, program coordinator of the MIDPOINT Institute for Series. So please welcome and say a few words.
Thank you very much, Angeliki. And I'm very grateful to be here on behalf of MIDPOINT Institute and on behalf of this precious collaboration to us. This is the, very important platform that was just recently established on the market. So it's great to celebrate its second birthday this year. I believe that Agora and our institutions, MIDPOINT Institute, we are sharing the same values and the same goals. Among them is definitely to create sort of a safe space for young professionals in order to push there towards the safe environment for the stories, for growing up of the stories, for ability to present them. And with MIDPOINT Institute, we are training initiative. We are mostly focused on organizing workshops for both for features and for series. We are working with projects in early development stage, and yes, actually the submissions for series programs will be opened in November, so feel free to check our website. I would just maybe briefly add that we are working primarily with CEE region and with CEE countries, and me and head of studies of our series programs, Gabor Krigler, we always read all of the submissions for series launch the program. And what we noticed is a repeating issue with these countries and with the submissions. And it definitely has something in common with fluctuation of feature film professionals diving into series. It's very often the same mistake that it's like series is not a feature film cut into pieces. And this is exactly why it has its own very important structuring, completely different working with characters, with engine, with development arcs, not only of each episode, but the whole season or eventually the next season, and or the next and next. And therefore, I'm very excited that we can contribute and and we are having these fantastic special guests, writers and creators that will be discussing exactly these issues, like differences between feature and series storytelling. So Müge, I give you mic and thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Well, welcome. As nicely put with by the wonderful ladies, we're going to be speaking about storytelling. And since Alexandra brought up the fact that a lot of filmmakers are transitioning to series, maybe we can start, because I'm a producer who also transitioned to series. We can maybe start with a little information on how this transition for you happened, because I think when all of us came into the industry, TV was a totally different thing, and digital platforms weren't even existent. So, how was the process for you? Was it, for example, an idea you brought to a network, or you started by just directing an episode? How was it for you? Maybe, Nima, we can start with you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that I used to make movies. After during the pandemic, I thought, okay, I have time, and maybe I can try this thing. I mean, series. So it was not a plan that I had, and to be honest, right now, I'm going to make my next series. So maybe I have changed my career. I'm not sure about it. That's why I say, yeah, that's not serious for me before, but after this experience, it's very serious for me.
We'll get into that with the next question, because I really want to know what is different in terms of creating a series.
Yes, so I prefer to analyze this from the audience side, if you don't mind. Yeah, because I think it's very important. Let's speak about these two kinds of audiences. As I know, at least till now, a movie audience takes ticket, they go to theater, and they have that biggest screen. If they don't like the movie, it's a little difficult to interrupt it. It's a little difficult to get out. I want to compare this kind of audience to series audience. Series audience, they have that small remote control in their hands. They can pause it, they can change it. They have many options if they don't like your project, your series. So I think this makes my job as writer and director more difficult in series.
To keep the attention of the audience.
Yeah,
that's
very
right.
Important.
And
because
there's also ambient TV that is getting talked about. I'm talking about all these cooking shows or the dating shows where you can also scroll your phone and watch. So we also we think that we need more content with series, like 90 minutes sometimes is not enough, but then we have the ambient TV. So your main goal as creators are probably to make the audience leave the phones and forget that they have the phones.
I think the process of watching makes something's difference. For example, when you have that small remote control, powerful remote control, and you can pause it, you can change it at the moment in a snap, it's very difficult and terrible for me because I want to catch the audience. And that's why I say the story is very important in series, maybe, because I don't have that big screen, I don't have that Dolby sound, and the story is very important. And I want to speak about something else. We say pilot is very important these days. I think maybe I don't know, 5-10 years later, the pilot is not important. The first sequence, the opening sequence, is important.
Like in film.
Yeah, maybe 50 years later, the first scene and the first image is important because they don't. If they don't like you, they don't like your project, your series, they pause it easily.
Yeah. So, Lefteris, can you talk about your transition and your?
No, I want to talk about. You can go crazy with this beginning. I mean, this year I had this new show called The Witch, and I was asked to limit the opening credits to something like 45 seconds, and the end credit to something like 30 seconds. And I was like, guys, I can't do that. There's people working. They need to see their names.
They need to cut the crew then.
Yeah, or to do it really fast. And the idea behind that is that you don't want people to use that thing and change. And then I did actually honestly go and talk to the big CEOs at the broadcasting channel, and I said, guys, listen, this is like the first episode. It's a much awaited show. So if somebody doesn't want to see it, they're just not going to see it from the beginning. They're not going to change in minute 2. But still, even though you say that and you have so many arguments, still, when you're doing it, it's crazy. So usually in Greece, we're still sort of in between. So miniseries is just starting to happen. So we don't have a lot of miniseries yet. And we still have this, sort of older television of like 150 episodes per season or like 70 episodes per season. But still, the pilot, I think, is very, very, very important. So whenever I start shooting, we never shoot one episode. You just shoot like the first and then the 10th and the scene from like the 20th. But always, when there's a daily schedule of the first episodes, I go crazy. And I need a lot of time. And I'm really, 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 really anxious because I know this is the first time that somebody's going to see a character. And there's nothing more important than that. Like,
yeah, I want to go deeper into that in a minute because
there's huge depth. Yeah. But because you asked me, sorry, I worked in film. I never made a feature. I've made a feature documentary, but never a fiction feature.
Dolphin Man. So it was a very, your transition is very interesting because you went from very real things to a very,
unreal thing.
Unreal and all very constructed.
No, it's true. But I did my first series back in 2007, which is quite early. But Greek TV was big in the 90s, so I was late in TV. But now I'm only doing TV because I was asked once. It takes such a long time to make a movie. I mean, it's a great thing to make a movie, but it does take such a long time.
And it's a little painful nowadays.
It's very painful. It takes time, and the good thing about television is that you can reach a very wide audience, even though it's very tough. Yes. And I do agree about all this. But still, I love when people, when there's a lot of people. So like a mediocre show, there's about 600,000 people every night, every episode. 600,000 tickets in the cinema is just a dream.
Absolutely, only like for some mainstream films maybe.
And I quite like that.
So Berkun, same to you, about your transition and about the creative process. For example, we talked about audience, difference, character, plot.
Well, I started with theater, so for me, it was more like I started with series in a way. I started writing series.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So for a while I was in TV, but not like now with Netflix and all the other platforms. At the time in Turkey, it still is actually. The open TV was a bit crazy, and it still is. As Lefteris said, I understand it's quite similar here as well. Like, how long is an episode?
It used to be 45 minutes. Now we've moved up to an hour and maybe 70 minutes per episode.
It's 120 minutes in Turkey.
And we shoot.
It's great. I'll move to Turkey.
Yeah, come and you shoot in 1 week each episode.
And no.
Yes,
the 150. No. 3 days for 150 episodes, 5 days for the 70 episodes.
That can be discussed with the network.
Okay.
Go to the producers.
We'll discuss. So we have a great industry in many ways, but also somewhat unhealthy, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy to shoot a 120-minute episode in 5 days, and so the quality is never great. But for people like myself, now it's a huge privilege having Netflix and other platforms now. We don't have to
sorry,
rush that much.
for the maybe ones who don't know, we have Netflix Turkey and Amazon Turkey, Disney Turkey, and Netflix Turkey is pretty prolific. They produce a lot of films and TV series in Turkish.
And they made a huge change in the market, actually, in many ways.
Did,
like people are divided in two in a way now. The ones that are still keeping up with the open TV work, and the ones who try to do as Netflix and digital as possible. For the obvious reason being you have more creative freedom, it's better work conditions for sure, and you don't have to tell a story in hundreds of hours, but it's more practical, more economic. But I started writing for TV, so my journey started in TV actually in a way, but the first series that I directed was for Netflix, which was Ethos. So it was not exactly like a transition in that way.
For you, it was a little different.
Yeah, different.
So when you find an idea, I mean, of course, maybe your process is different. You might find a character, I don't know. But when you find an idea, how do you decide if that idea or that character is made into a film or a TV series? What is the medium? How do you choose the medium?
Something interesting. I remember the idea for this series.
The actor.
The actor. Yeah. It was an idea for movie. I wrote it, I think, about 10 years ago. And during that time, pandemic, I was looking, searching my notes, and I saw that idea. I thought, okay, this idea can be developed
To a series.
to series, yeah, because of its dramatic structure.
I would ask that: is it the characters or the dramatic structure that can carry out at least a season?
Yeah, and that time when I was writing that idea, I was not like that. I thought, okay, it's a good idea for movie. So I want to say that maybe an idea for movie you can use an idea for movie for series, or an idea for series for movie, and it depends on the factors that your idea have.
Which are those factors?
Yes. First of all, the idea must be developed. Must has the potential to be developed. This idea had, but for example, some idea. My last movie, The Warden, didn't have this potential, and I think if the idea has the potential to have some subplots, many characters, for me at least, it can be good for series.
Oh, I see. So
yeah, this is
it's more about the characters for you, maybe.
Yeah.
Than the plot or the theme or.
Yeah, the characters is more important, but after that, yeah, it's if I can find the potential to have some subplots, yeah, I pick it.
Yeah, well, you pick it well because you won the Series Mania Award with the actor. So, Lefteris, how is it for you? How do you decide? For example,
I don't write. I'm not a writer.
You create.
Yeah.
But was the magician? Was it? Sorry,
the witch.
The witch. Sorry, the translation. The witch. It was your own project, or you picked it up?
No. Usually in Greece, you have people who write and people who direct. So I have, writers who write, and we talk about writing, of course, but they do the writing, and then I run the show, like do all the creative decisions, casting and et cetera, et cetera. But these days, you always get into the conversation that, you have an idea, and immediately, you ask, is it a movie or is it a series? And I think film is slowly starting to sort of die, so you much quicker go, you move into... it's a series. But I mean, to answer your question, I think I don't think it comes down to an idea whether it's 2 hours or whether it's 8 hours or 12 hours. I think you can turn most ideas into something longer. But for me, what is interesting is the change in the people. The people need to. I talk to younger people, and they are starting to not understand film time.
I understand.
So it's like 2 hours, and they don't have the time to to get to know all this. They need a longer time. And binge watching. What happens with binge watching? You befriend all these characters, and so they enter your house every night, and you become friends with them, even if it's 100 episodes or 10 episodes.
Yeah, what happened last week with Matthew Perry passing away? Yeah. It's like there was crazy. It's crazy. Me Too. There was like
one of your people dying.
Yeah, worldwide mourning for him is such a beautiful thing for the, of course, the actor, but plus the writers. I think. It's such a touching thing.
Yeah. So that thing is changing. There's people that think that 2 hours is not enough to feel anything.
And then I always get confused because I think like that. I love series, but then we are at this point where our attention span is very, very short compared to the 90s, where I was consuming movies, not TV series. It's something that keeps my mind working, but I cannot really find the reason.
Yes, but it's funny. There was a big talk about Scorsese's last movie, which is 3.5 hours long.
Yes.
And there were many people saying, God, 3.5 hours is such a long... But when you binge watch, sometimes you do more than 3.5 hours.
That's correct.
So that's still another, strange thing. You can't watch a 3-hour movie, which is huge nowadays, like 3 hours. But you can binge watch, 7 hours, especially when you're younger and you're not working that much. I used to binge watch like whole seasons.
Yeah, good old
But
times.
a movie, like 3-hour movie, is like a long time, which is, it's strange because time is time.
I cannot really get to the bottom of it. If anyone does, please let me know. So, Berkun, how is it for you when you have an idea? How do you decide if it's to be a film or a series?
Well, it takes time usually. Now
So you dwell on it, you think about it, like for decision process.
Yeah, sometimes it's, for instance, I did this last feature called Gigi for Netflix again, and it started as a series idea on my mind.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, but then it changed a lot and became this feature film, which almost has nothing to do with the idea of a series. But it really takes some time for me. And the other thing is, for me, it's like, is it a play, is it a series, or is it a...
Oh my God, you make it too complicated.
Probably,
no,
yeah.
The play is not... I'm not giving you that choice now.
Okay.
So it just and when is there, because I please correct me if I'm wrong, because it was years back. I remember one of your TV series was actually a movie years
Which one?
back. Masum?
Oh, yeah, a play of mine was made into a series.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I remember reading the script. It was like a 90-minute thing. Then it's made into a series. For example, this is like changing mediums. Because it never was a play, as far as I'm concerned.
No, it was a play. It was a theater play.
But was it on the scene? Was it?
Yeah. It was staged.
Okay,
yeah.
Staged. Sorry, I couldn't find the word. Yeah.
And then I adapted as a series.
Was it? What was different? Because it's your script, but you're adapting to a totally different medium. Like, especially what was different. It's also maybe counts for the literary adaptations. Like when you have an IP, yours or not, how does it work to adapting it to a series?
Well, I tried to look at it from a totally different perspective. That's, I think, one thing that I did. And I don't remember I did add one character.
I would ask that. Did you go deeper in the characters?
Because it had to be like, otherwise it was it was going to turn out to be a show that takes place just in one house, basically. So I added some characters, one main character, and made it more into like suspense thriller, which the play was not.
The play was more drama?
I almost changed the tone, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there was all those aspects in the play as well, but more in a dramatic and literary way, but I made it more TV-like, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
When Lefteris said that we are attached to characters, I want to go more into TV series characters, actually. I believe there is a big difference between the TV series characters or the feature characters that we identify with. And what is your take on this? Like, how do you bond with your characters, especially in TV series? Maybe we can compare to as a director too, as well, because with the mise en scène and everything. How do you bond with your main characters when it's a movie and when it's the series? And we can talk about both in terms of writing and both in terms of working with the actors and the mise en scène, the whole direction process. Sorry, it's a long question, but I'm sure you're all capable of answering that.
Before making movies, I used to make short films. I didn't want to change my career. I remember one of the major reasons that made me to change to feature movies was time, this limitation. That's why I want to speak about, maybe I want to go back to your first question, main question, the difference between series and movies. Yeah, we have a physical limitation, it's time. I figured out that I can't develop the characters in short films, because I wanted to, I don't know, get dimension to them. I couldn't. I didn't have time. If I want to make them more complex, I couldn't. That's why I want to say that we have this difference between movies and series. In series, you have more time to develop your characters. You know, that's why we say that, for example, I want to compare Tony Soprano with, I don't know, Michael Corleone. If we compare these two characters, these attractive characters, between series and movies, and maybe Tony Soprano remains in your mind more than Michael Corleone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as you said, it's like our friend. You know, we get addicted to see him. And
it's not like rewatching the movie, although, you know, we have some movies that we rewatch all the time, but there's maybe only a small new thing you could recognize or just realize at that moment.
The skills may be the same. For example, making a character complicated. Okay, we have some skills as a writer, but when you have more time, but there is a little difference between these two things, and that's arc of character. The character arc, because I believe that main characters, when you're making a series, when you're writing a series script, it's difficult, from my perspective, I say. It's difficult to give an arc character to your main character. You know, maybe for secondary characters it's simple, but it's very simple when you're writing a script for movie. But I want to say, when you have more time, I think you can make characters more complex and more attractive.
When you're directing, when you start working with actors, because this is something that came into my mind because of Jeremy Podeswa talk that you moderated, which was fantastic, and which came to my mind is that how does it affect your relation with the main actor, when you're getting ready for a series or a TV show? Sorry, for a feature. Like, what do you do anything differently? Is it I don't know, more intense in one of them, or what are do your demands differ from the actor?
For me, there is no difference. Yeah, in this case, there is no difference because I have some personal things to make my actor ready, and I do based on my personal experience. I did it in my series, whatever I did for my future.
So you have a special and secret recipe which will
and
work
I
for
don't,
both.
and I
you don't share.
Let you know.
Yeah, maybe next time. So how was it for you, Lefteris, especially with the character development? I know that you're not writing, but within the preparation process and working with the actor.
To be honest, I think cinema and television are two different things. I cannot compare the two at all, both as a process or as an end product. And the thing is that if I use your brilliant example, Michael Corleone was lit by Gordon Willis. Tony Soprano, I don't know the DOP. I have my DOP in the room here for The Witch. Excuse me, I'm going to talk about Gordon Willis. But what I'm saying is that in cinema, characters are light and costume in a different way. And the time that you spend on screen, because it's a huge screen, it's much different.
Sometimes we don't even know the director of the episode that we're watching, so it's a very important
well, it's not director-oriented anyway, but cinema is. But what I'm saying is, forget directors, forget everybody. So you have Bergman. He can keep like a close-up for 3 minutes, and it's okay, because it's full. If you keep if you go to your broadcaster and you say, I'm going to keep like a close-up for 3 minutes, they're going to say you're out of the room.
In Turkish series you can do because it's 150 minutes.
That's a different.
There is the only way.
But all I'm saying is that there's, cinema, thank God, has so many other ways to tell a story at the same time as telling the story. The good thing, what I like about television is that you just have to tell the story first and then decide about, how to light it and how to dress it. You will light it brilliantly, and you, of course, but cinema, storytelling is in everything. It's in location, and also it's in editing. Nobody talks about editing in television. Editing in television is a completely different thing, because you have to keep the viewer from changing the damn channel. Yeah. Whereas
so
in cinema, it's
skills.
a completely different set of skills, and that's why editors, I find, are the most difficult to do both. You cannot find a brilliant editor for film who is also brilliant for television. Usually, it's difficult.
I totally agree. For example, from a producer's point of view, when you work on an art house film or a mainstream film or a TV series, I go to different editors. Totally got nothing to do with it. So I totally hear what you're saying.
And TV series, usually when we talk about TV series, in a way, it's like one thing. Whereas when you go to movies, genre is different. Romantic comedy is something different. Sci-fi is different. Art house is different. But there's many art house
Yeah,
so editing and lighting are different sort of jobs within cinema. Whereas in series, it's not, it's you have to tell the story.
And that's correct. I never thought of that. Thank you. So, Berkun, what do you think? Especially with the working with the actors and characters?
Well, same for me. It doesn't differ between a series or a feature film, and I usually work with actors.
Is it the same with the theater as well? Maybe you use the same techniques with when you direct.
Almost. Yeah, almost. But the way I look at it is, I have two different ways that I choose once in a while. One is, luckily, I don't do that much anymore.
So some of us share.
Which is the first way is just to make money. So now that's, for me, that's something totally different. Like all the work that I've done for Turkish free TV for years in my 20s and 30s, that was basically just for money, I have to say. I did not believe in anything that I did. I did not enjoy it. I did not watch it on the screen. I just did it because I needed the money.
Well, we've all been there, I think. Personally, I have.
Probably, yeah. So, but the other way is, if we're talking about series, I like the idea of transferring the artistic expression to series, which we don't have yet, I think. There are not tens of even examples, good examples of this. I haven't seen your series, but from what I hear, I understand that yours is one good example, luckily. And I think we need more of these series, because I'm interested in people who enjoy an art house film loving a series even more, because it's not just series, it's another way of expressing yourself artistically with the tool of cinema. And thanks to all these Netflix and all this stuff, that now we have the chance to be a bit more, comfortable, and we don't have to, are they still watching? They shouldn't move away, like.
Yeah.
We don't need that anymore. If they don't watch it, I don't care. They don't watch it. I sold it to Netflix anyway. It's not. I don't have to think about that. I only have to think about that when the end result comes and they don't give me another job. That's
of course.
That's only when.
And when you're writing the characters in the film and in series, how does the process differ for you?
No, not really. That's exactly what I mean. I try not to divide myself when I'm writing for series or film. Okay, I can't do what I want to do in the free TV work. So with this new scene that we have, the digital scene, let's call it, now we have that chance. Like, they're okay with coming up with something more artistic, more experimental. They can say, okay, let's give it a shot. I think this is our biggest luxury nowadays, because I'm really not interested in making the work which no one will remember as soon as they go to the toilet, even. Yeah.
I want to add one last thing about casting, I think, because it's very important. When you want your audience to spend 20, 30, 40 episodes with a character, I don't think you would cast the same person. And
okay, that's really a good
This is always a thought of mine, because you see brilliant actors, but you're like, do I want to see them for 50 hours? I don't. There's some actors that I don't want to see. I might want to see them for 2 hours, like 2 brilliant hours, because that's the difference with film too. Yeah. So you have 120 minutes, but every minute has to be brilliant. It has to be unique somehow.
Some actors are intense, for example.
Some actors are intense, but you can't watch them for especially protagonists. You have to be very careful when you choose your protagonists for a television series, because you have to remember that people are going to be watching them for some time.
And casting is a very important part of storytelling.
Anyway, yeah.
So I want to get into the creative control in film and in TV series. I mean, of course, even for a documentary director, maybe it's even more different, because documentary filmmaking is totally about the creative control and the environment. Just things happen and you happen to be there. So we can say that you have all directed art house films, which probably you have written, even if you didn't write. The creative control was totally yours. Now we're talking about platforms and demands of networks. How does it affect your creative process? Plus, sometimes, not in your case, and not in your case probably for the series that we're talking about, Ethos and the Actor, for example, sometimes different directors come in for the different episode of the season for a show maybe you have created the world, you have built the world. So networks, demands of the audience, the TV audience, and the fact that other people can come and direct your show in a way. How does it work for you? How does it make you feel like you're losing control, or you become more control freak? I don't know when that happens.
I'm flexible. I'm open with these things.
The director I want to work with.
Yeah, because I haven't had this experience, as you told. Yeah, I directed all the things that I have written, but I'm thinking about it right now. If because cinema is a teamwork. Yeah. So yeah, it's possible. You must, for example. It's better that you uniformize all the things, and another director can direct my script. So it's okay for me, and this is not the things that hurt me. So,
well, we'll see. We'll talk about that when that happens.
Yeah. But let me speak about another thing, if you don't mind, about the budget.
Yes, I'll come to that, but we can absolutely, because I want to talk about network involvement in the creative process, and budgeting limitations, of
That's
course,
right.
affects
So,
the
yeah.
creative process.
Okay, so I want to say I don't want to nag. I'm not, as I told you before, I'm very flexible with these things, and I think when someone wants to make a series, the budget is very big, so the risk is more high, and another time, I want to say that these things makes my responsibility, my job difficult in series. And when you have a big money, it's a little. It doesn't make me produce something else, but it's a little difficult because if I want to make a movie, maybe I can make it with my own money these days.
Or you can try to raise financing, but you cannot come to a network.
But for series, we are speaking about big money. So these things may be, I don't know, may limit your job. I didn't have this experience, thanks God, till now.
Sometimes in my case, the opposite is also, it is also valid, because in art house filmmaking, it's just such a hassle to get the countries on board, funds on board, private financing. It takes such a long time, but then there's a network who pays a good sum of money, and you have to, of course, stay in the limitations. So sometimes it might be maybe more relaxing, I don't know, for the director. What do you think, Lefteris?
It's not that easy in Europe. If you want to make a proper co-production like in a movie, it's much easier in Greece, because usually the broadcaster will raise all the money
for the film.
No.
Series,
Film is difficult anywhere.
Yeah. This is what I'm telling. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
Film is difficult. You do it as we know. You need co-producers. You need or it can be very easy if you're very young and you can make it for €100,000. That you'll find.
Never
somehow.
happens. Yeah.
It seems like film is taking a longer time, and you have to go to workshops and
co-production markets, funding.
The thing about series is that so there's a part, for example, like Greece, where the broadcaster raises all the money, so you don't go looking for money.
Do they then ever get involved in the creative process?
Oh yes, a lot.
How does it work for you? Because I know in Turkey, but for Greece.
It depends on the people always. It's the same. If it's collaborative people who don't want to say we're putting in the money so we have creative control, then it's great. If it's about people who just want to do what they want to do and they don't want to listen to you, then it's always a problem for a director anyway. But now the way it's looking now, where co-production in series is starting to happen in Greece too, that will become a little more complicated, because you have an idea and you have to talk to Arte, and then you have to talk to ZDF, and then you have to find a co-producer in France and a co-producer in Germany. That will take a little bit of time too, like it used to. Whereas if you have a local broadcaster who will raise the money, that's much faster, and you can get a job, nearly every year and have something.
Yeah, when that happens, probably it will again take a few years for the producers to put all the, money together. For you, Berkun?
In my experience, what I did was I shot the pilot myself for the series.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry to maybe give a little bit of background information. It was a new thing. Normally, you submit your project to Netflix in Turkey in a script stage, and they decide if they get involved or not. And you were, I think, the first company and a director-producer who came up with a pilot and sold the project through the pilot. So maybe that's, I think that's still maybe you were the first. I don't remember anyone doing that. So maybe you can share the insights with us.
When they first wanted to enter the Turkish market, they invited me over, and because they wanted to make a show together, maybe like one of the first shows for Netflix Turkey. And I was interested, I was excited, but when I talked to the Netflix people, I got the idea that they actually made it very clear that they're interested in, their slate was people between 18 and 35, and they were more into like sci-fi, like period piece blended with some sort of fantasy kind of that kind of world, which I have nothing to do about. Like it would be a terrible experience for everyone if I even tried. So
I doubt it.
I'm quite sure. So I forgot about it. I said, okay, like no Netflix for me. But then some years passed, and they started, and they did a few shows, and I started hearing that they were interviewing so much with the work. They were coming on set. They wanted to talk about the script. They wanted to interfere with the casting and everything, and that was impossible for me. Like, it's impossible to do anything healthy in that sense. So I said I have to find another way, and I shot a pilot. It was obviously very difficult to find the money and bring the people together where there's nothing promised. Like, you're just saying, okay, I'm doing this series and this is the pilot, and we're doing it on our own, and God knows what happens next.
And you have so many famous actors and the Ethos Berkun's series is there's a main character, but a lot of main characters in a way. So it was a difficult probably cast to.
That was my luxury.
Yeah,
that was where I was
because
really
you
lucky.
know these people.
Because I worked with them in theater for years. We knew each other, so they gave me a hand. Like, they helped me out in a way. Like, if nothing comes out, nothing comes out. But if we're able to like proceed with the project, we'll be happy. That's how they approached it. And luckily, when I finished the pilot, it was quite gambling, I have to say, because
of course
I sent it to Netflix and I said, okay, this is the pilot, and this is the remaining 7 episodes. It's an 8-parter. And this is how I'm going to shoot it. This is the casting. This is the tone. This is how it's going to look. And I won't change anything. I can give this to you only if you're okay with not interfering in any way. But while I was saying these things out loud, like in me, I was like, maybe not. Like, it was just gambling, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't that self-confident, but that's how I had to show myself,
of course,
probably.
But it paid off.
It paid off. Luckily, it paid off. And actually, I was quite surprised when they kept their promise. They kept their promise till the very end.
I have to say that your Ethos is one of the best shows on Netflix, because I know that Netflix, not only in Turkey, they also, of course, interfere with the main office also interferes with the content and the script of the shows that Netflix Turkey will produce. So this is this is why it stands out. It is a unique show compared to the other shows.
Thank you. I hear the same thing about their work constantly. So.
Yeah. Well, of course, we have a time limitation. Maybe if you guys want to add anything before we take the questions, I'm totally open to discuss.
I believe as time goes by, everything changes. And I think the methods, the skills for writing must change. Because, as I told you before, for example, if the pilot is very important these days, maybe sometime we say only the opening sequence is important. And
did you work with a pilot for the actors or not?
No. It was not.
In Turkey, it's unusual. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
For Iran, so you don't work with pilots.
No. But I want to say, for example, for movies, I believe that everybody says, okay, everything is the ending, is the third act, is the climax. But I believe that the midpoint would be more important in future, and I have my reasons because of this technology advancement, and the process of watching and the audience. So the last thing I want to say is that we have to change our skills and methods for writing.
For your writing, just a question that I want to ask. Do you work with writer rooms or a couple of writers, or you are, not for you, I know, Lefteris, but for Nima and Berkun, you write alone, or you work with writers' rooms like the US?
I wrote this series, The Actor, by myself, but I'm thinking about have this experience.
You, Berkun?
Yeah, I wrote on my own as well.
Yeah, we have a room and 2 writers in the last series I'm working with, so not really a writer's room. But for example, I find it, because we're into our 3rd season with a TV series, it gets tiring for the main writer if they're also directing. So with the 2nd and 3rd season, we're depending more and more, because we have already a world which has been built. So it helps the creative process, which is what I find. So we can take the questions. Sorry, Lefteris, anything you want to add? And Berkun, anything you want to add? Okay.
Yes, hello. You mentioned that you need to change the way you are writing, the writing processes. What about using AI technologies? AI technologies.
I think this.
A very hot topic.
Yeah, okay. I think this issue you're speaking about is very important, and maybe it needs another panel.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't want to moderate.
Yeah, believe me, because I have thought about it, and I have many things to say about this, but I think we have this limitation. But let me say that we must not be scared about it if we change the rules, because that machine knows the rules and work with that rules. If we change the rules, we can be faster than it. This is the sole sentence I can say in this time.
You want to add anything on AI, Lefteris, Berkun? Thank you, Alex. Any questions?
Hi, one question from here.
I can't. Sorry. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Alex and Alex. Okay.
Questions regarding the main character in TV series, and the difference between TV series and film. For example, in European films, we can have a main character to be passive and everything around him to be more active, and the main character just to react on the other reactions. But how is it when you have it in the TV series, and when you, for example, have passive character as main character in the TV series, and you introduce the main character, for example, by the end of the 1st episode or in the 2nd episode, and you are, for example, a showrunner or a writer, and you are deciding on that step, and you need to present it to the TV channel and everything, how you will express that actually the main character is passive, or you are going just to recreate and do it more actively? What do you think about this difference regarding the passive and active character as a protagonist?
You mean when you introduce your main character, not in the 1st episode, but in the 2nd episode? Is that what you mean? Well, it's
or in the
always an
1st,
issue.
but really
it's
late.
Always an issue, right? Probably you suffer from it more. Like they always want to see more of the main guy. Yeah, it's always an issue. It's not easy.
Are you going to pick the fight with the CEO of the network or not? Or about
The network will pick the fight anyway, so you just have to decide whether you will fight the fight or not.
You just have to decide when to leave the room.
Do you leave before it gets physical or not? Okay, good to know. Any more questions? No. Okay. Nikki has a question.
Hi. Actually, there is no question. Thank you, everyone. Just an announcement that you will have the chance to see the first 2 episodes of Nima Javidi's The Actor that won the grand prize at Series Mania this year, because we didn't have the chance to announce before. So I just wanted to interfere and let everyone know that there is a screening tonight at 7 at Tonya Marketaki Theatre. And now, if there is any other question.
Yeah, if there are any other questions. So I think we are just... over there? Please, please, Alex, we'll be happy to hear your questions.
Thank you. The fact that you could keep the creative control because you produced the pilot, which is the first episode. Do you still have it after that experience with Netflix? Meaning, have you built something with Netflix that they trust you and they leave you the creative control for the other shows, or it was just for that show that you had the creative control? And what is the perspective from your side on that creative control with the streamers compared to the broadcasters? Is it more powerful with the streaming services or with the broadcasters? How the relation?
It's, I think, the perfect question for you, Lefteris, right?
Well, it's a matter of trust, I think. If you do something well, you know, they trust you, but I don't know, I think there's a trust issue depending on which country you know, there's some countries where you say, I'm a director, and they say you're a director. There's some other countries where every time you have to get a test, which has happened to me in Greece, not complaining because they do trust me, but, you know, you have to prove again that you can do like a good casting, and you know your visuals are going to be good, and that you're, you know, so in every show. But I mean, you can never say no, because in a way it's the nature of the work. You know, you have to discover yourself, and because there's no authorship in series yet.
Yeah, that's an important issue.
You're not
for
an
the
author.
creators
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, you do get directors like you who, you know, they do their own shows and they write and they direct, which is, you know, a different thing. But usually when you have a writer's room and you have, you know, like a lead director, and you have many directors in a show, even if it's a limited series,
a showrunner as well.
Yeah, well, then you need a showrunner who will, you know, make all the choices and will distribute, you know, work. But, you know, trust is always an issue with our work anyway. You know, do your actors trust you? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, depending on how you deliver. So, you know, delivery is always a big thing about gaining the trust of broadcasters, of your colleagues, of everyone.
I think we can have one. Yes. Yes, Alex.
Sorry, I just remembered another question.
Please,
regarding the pilot that Mr. Berkun mentioned, how is it actually working? For example, you shot the pilot, you showed them, but did they actually broadcast that pilot, or they ask you to shoot it again with bigger budget?
Yeah, I shot it again. But I used some parts of the pilot. Oh, you did in the editing? Yeah.
Did you change any actors? You didn't?
No.
Any questions, please? There, sorry.
Do you think if like it's absolutely necessary to end every episode in a cliffhanger in order to grasp the audience's attention, in order to get them to click to the next episode?
Maybe I would love to hear this answered by all of you, because this is a very, very good question.
Nowadays, no, I think it's something cliche. It's a stereotype these days. And I believe that, as a writer, I'm saying this, I believe that you can end your episode in another way better than cliffhanger. If I remember, I can give you an example from Unorthodox series, I think, yeah. And I remember one of the episodes. I don't remember the specific moment, but as a writer, for example, you when you see that scene, you say, okay, you must end the episode right in this point. But the writer and the director and the showrunner decided to end it, I think 7-8 minutes after that time, and I'm sure that it was better. I liked it very much, more than that cliffhanger. So, yeah, maybe it's one of the rules that must be changed.
Since we're binge watching most of the time, I sometimes don't remember when the exact moment the previous episode ended anymore.
Yeah.
I will vastly agree with Nima, meaning that it's more of a daily television kind of thing to do the cliffhanger because you need to go to the next day. I think that nowadays that audiences are much more, why they've seen so much, so they know a lot, and I think it's much more interesting if your characters gain trust and you want to see them go on for a longer time rather than is he going to jump or not, is he going to get killed or not. I mean, I do find it necessary at some point when you do 10 episodes, there's bound to be some sort of cliffhanger. Between seasons for sure, yeah. But I think there's wiser ways these days. The problem is, again, what the broadcasters want. Do they want that kind of thing or not? I mean, we have a new series. It premiered like 2 days ago called Milky Way, and there's no cliffhanger. There will never be a cliffhanger. You know it. It's a different kind of thing. And if you talk to people, if it's people that usually watch a lot of TV, they will say, "Oh, I had no cliffhanger. I'm not going to watch the second episode," which is it's bullshit. Is it a great story? Do you like the people or not? I mean, one thing about the pilot is you must grab the attention of that's for sure. Somehow. Is it the characters? Is it the cinematography with the characters? It is the story, but you need to grab some sort of attention. But other than that, I think cliffhanger is it's we've been there, done that. It's nice, but
yeah, I definitely agree. It used to be very important, maybe some time ago, especially with shows like, as you said, they have to catch up, and they should know where they left, and there should be a cliffhanger, but no more. I just want to say as a last thing that I think the most important thing for us, writers, directors, the ones who are on the creative side of doing series or film, but now we're talking series and both film actually, it's who you are with your crew, your people. For me, that's the most important thing. Like the actors, I had the luxury, as I said, with the pilot, but it was not just the actors. It was my producer, Ali Farkonde. He trusted in me. Everyone in the crew, they trusted in me. And only with their help and their belief in what we do, it was possible to do it.
So, we can say it's as collective as art house filmmaking, in a way, maybe, because you're also stuck so long together. It's not like you're going to be off.
Exactly. I think it's definitely it's all about the collective work.
I think that showrunning comes down to choosing your partners a lot. So it's not only the creative control of the visuals and blah blah blah, but you need to choose your DOP, your editor, even your gaffer if you can. I mean, I have a brilliant gaffer now. I have a brilliant guy who holds the camera, at the shoot, and if you see the show and you work with him, it's like most of what seems like I'm doing, he's doing. Because he's just brilliant. So if you have a brilliant camera operator, sometimes it's a signature of a show that he does the camera in this way. So you have to be able to choose your people.
That's great. For example, as a producer, when I shoot an art house film, which if I have, I'm lucky, I have the luxury to shoot for 4 weeks. And when the costume designer just complains about the attitude of the main actor who's throwing away underwear, and I tell her bear with her, we just have a week. But with series, the crew is really important, and the actors because you're stuck with them and you don't want to change the crew as long as you have to have a peaceful environment, creative environment.
Sometimes when you're into a show and it goes on for a year, you see these people more than you see your family. So they become your family. And a very serious family in that respect.
Do you also make your own, compose your own crew and
definitely? And I want to add this sentence that, to be frank, the process of making a project, no difference, movie, series, is more important for me from the result, you know, because
Yes.
we live with our job, we live with these guys. So this environment must be peaceful, must be full of energy, and
I
it's
agree.
it's a big part of our life. So yeah, I agree with my friends. Yeah.
Well, I think we're over. Thank you for joining us and for the questions and to these three amazing creators being with us. Thank you.